There was a Bibi that was born in 1959, and in the late 60s, as she was growing up, she didn't have a clue what Japji Sahib was. Sikha ne kare janam. She didn't have a clue about Gurbani, what it was. Somebody gave her a gotka once, and in that gotka she didn't know what was Japji Sahib, she didn't know what was Rara, she didn't know the difference. But she started to read it. She'd read little bits of it from different parts of the gotka. Eventually, she didn't know what part is what, so she started reading the whole gotka every day. And it was a Sundar gotka. But there was something, she had a connection. She started reading through the whole gotka every day. And one day, somebody came by her house and gave her a little booklet. Gave her a little booklet about Bhagats. And when she read about the Bhagats, how they were captured, because Bhagat Kabirji was captured as well, but that's a completely different story itself. So when she read this booklet about the Bhagats, she had heard nothing like it before. She just known about life as it is, that skulle jaidaya, work hard, do your housework at home, Pitaji's, he's a drunk, and life is what it is. When she read the Jeevaniya of the Bhagats, it took her into another world. That world as we know as Parlok. Parlok isn't life after death. Parlok is something that we experience, a world beyond these physical senses. That world where Vaheguru exists, that we can experience whilst we're still in this body. She started to experience that world just by reading the Jeevani of the Bhagats. She stopped going to school. She would sit in one place, she'd sit on the floor, and she'd be sat there for 8 hours. She'd be lying down, she'd be sitting, she wouldn't eat. This is the state she became in by reading the Bhagat's Jeevan. Eventually, she was taken to a Ransbai Kirtan. She's never been to a Ransbai Kirtan, she doesn't know what a Ransbai Kirtan is. But she sat from the evening all the way till the morning, till Samapti in one chonkada. And the Akhand Kirtani sings were coming up to her and saying, Bibi ji, tusi Akhand chonkada laya. She goes, oh, ki hunda? She goes, what's one of them? Ta sari raat baithi Bibi ji. ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸੰਚਾਰਿਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹ ਕੌਣ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਆ she goes mammy I want it as well ਖੈਰ her Jeevani is long but that same Bibi her life started from listening to the Bhagat's Jeevani but Guru Sikh Pyareo that day came in then 1982 she read about the Morche and she went to do darshan. She went to Darbar Sahib. When she went to Darbar Sahib, just before going to Darbar Sahib, her father used to show her many boys, many guys to get married. And she would say, Father, I'm not getting married until you stop drinking. He would say, Na main sharab chhadni, na tu vyah kara. But that day she went to Darbar Sahib, 1982. And she did darshan of Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa Pindrawale. She went straight over to Baba Ji, and Baba Ji looked at her and they said to her, this is tu sade jathe vich lungi. They looked towards Rashpal Singh, Sant Ji's PA, kende eh Singh de naal Anand Karaj. Bibi Ji chup rahe. She came back home, she told her family, and her father goes, Hun tu man jana? Tu inne chir manni nahi. She goes, oh shakhsiyat de samne, she goes, main samarpat haan. She goes, I'll give my whole self to that shakhsiyat, Baba Jarnail Singh. She gets married by Rashpal Singh. Remember, she listened to the Jeevaniya of the Bhagats. Gursikh Pyareo, it's 5th of June 1984. At Nanak Nawaz in room number 43, she stayed. She had so much pyar, she had so much bhavana. One day she said to her husband, she said to Bhai Rishpal Singh, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਇੱਛਾ ਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਸੰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਛਕਾਉਣਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਮਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ. I want Sant Ji to come into my room, our room. She moved there as well. She was staying there after marriage. She goes, I want Sant Ji to come into this room and eat prashada here. And Bhai Rishpal Singh ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਕਿਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਕਮਲੀਆਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੋਰਚਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ, when all this morcha is done, they said, we'll take Sant Ji home and for days we'll feed them. She said, you know they don't go into anyone else's room. They go into the room and they eat one prashada. She had one frying pan. In that one frying pan, she had a mot pari of mungi di dal. She made that mungi di dal. Even though Bhai Rishpal Singh says, you dare even ask them. Sant Ji kite nahi jante kisi de kamre ch. That day she made the dal. She went upstairs where Sant Ji used to sit down and talk to the Sangat and do speeches. Bibi Ji didn't go forward to say Fateh that day. She stayed back. Sangat sitting there. The singers came and said, Sant Ji kende prashada tiyar hai tade aap ji de kamre vich, which was upstairs. And Sant Ji kende chalo singo kamre ch. And as Sant Ji starts to walk out and they're supposed to go upstairs, Sant Ji walks downstairs towards Bhai Rishpal Singh Ji's room. Jinda utthe, it wasn't completely locked. Santa ne aap jinda khol ke marya chak ke darwaja khol ke te Bibi Preetam Kaur de kamre de vich de manje te ja ke beh gaye. Kendi Biba, kendi takdiyan, kendi khushiyan, shika prashada. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੰਤਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ 1.5 ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਨਹੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਛਕਿਆ. ਨੈਵਰ ਏਟ ਮੋਰ ਦੈਨ 1.5 ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਸੰਤਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ 3 ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦੇ ਛਕੇ. ਤੇ ਐਟ 3 ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦੇ that day and this is ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਖੁਸ਼ ਆ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਬੋਲ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਵਿੱਚ. ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਦਾ 18 ਦਿਨ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ, 18 days ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ's child, ਭਗਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਸੁਣਿਆ. She's 18 days her child by Manpreet Singh. ਤਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਰਿਸ਼ਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਆਏ ਕਮਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ. They came into the room and they said Fateh to their wife. And to their wife they said, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਭੁੱਲਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਖਸ਼ ਦੀ. ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਾਈ ਰਿਸ਼ਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ said to their wife, if I've made any mistakes forgive me. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਾਣ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਆ ਗਿਆ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਫੌਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਕਰਮਾ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਈ ਆ. The ਫੌਜ is in the ਪ੍ਰਕਰਮਾ. ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ? ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਭੁੱਲਾਂ ਬਖਸ਼ਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਨੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਧ ਬੋਲ ਜੰਨੀ ਆ. She says I say so much. ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਭੁੱਲਾਂ ਬਖਸ਼ਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ. It's me that's going to ask you for forgiveness, not the other way round. ਭਾਈ ਰਿਸ਼ਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ 18 ਦਿਨ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੀਨੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਾਇਆ, ਜੱਫੀ ਪਾਈ. Hugs that child and gives that child back to his wife. ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਛਾਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਲਾਇਆ. Embraces that child to her chest. ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਪਿਆਰੋ, as Bhai Rishpal Singh Ji turns around, through the net of the room, a bullet comes through the room, into the room. And it goes through the chest of the 18-day child. ਉਸ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਛਾਤੀ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਪਾੜ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਗੋਲੀ ਲੰਘੀ ਤਾਂ ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਬੀਬੀ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸੀਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ it went into her skin. As Bhai Rishpal Singh Ji turned around, a bullet went straight through his forehead. Bhai Rishpal Singh Ji turns around to look at his wife and he fell right on top of Bibi Ji. And they all fall to the floor and to the ground. Mata Ji is bleeding. Khoon veh raha ya. And Mata Ji's suit, her kapde, it's June, 5th of June, it's boiling hot. The heat. But Mata Ji said one thing. And then my child, she said that son, she said he didn't feel like 18 days. When I looked at him, he was like this. He was like a 6-month child. He seemed so old. She said everything was smoked out. She said all that smell, all that smoke, she said he was laughing and playing. goes, बहुत भगती वाला बच्चा सी, she said. She said that the child was, she goes, we could barely breathe in there, but he was laughing. Mataji's suit is drenched and stuck to her body with blood. Gursikh Pyaro, she could barely breathe. She thought she's not going to survive. But as she's come out to the Parakrama, somebody's brought her some water from the sarovar that's filled with blood. But Gursikh Pyaro, Bibi si na, Mata Preetam Kaur, she wasn't crying. In that state, the next morning, as she's going to be arrested, you know what she got up and did whilst she couldn't even hardly breathe and her suit was stuck to her with blood? She did her Nitnem. She still read Bani. In that state, her child, 18-day child, on her chest has died. She's got a bullet inside of her. Her husband's just died in front of her. But she's still reading Bani, and she still got up, stood up and did Ardas. For 6 weeks, that bullet stayed in her body. 6 weeks. Later, they operated. And she stayed in Chardi Kala. And she said, "Mainu koi dukh nahi ke mere bacche ne shahadat da jam pita." She goes, "I've got no dukh that my little 18-day child became Shaheed." She goes, "I'm happy." She goes, "He's the youngest Shaheed of 84." She goes, "Main khushi hai kehndi mainu is gal di. Mainu khushi hai is gal di," she said. "Koi dukh nahi," she said. ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਪਿਆਰੋ, ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ, ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰਾ ਸੀਨਾ ਚੀਰਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਸ ਬੀਬੀ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਜੀਵਨ ਸੁਣਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਪ ਦੇ ਮੁਖੋਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਚਿਹਰਾ ਡਮਕ ਡਮਕ ਚਮਕਦਾ ਚਿਹਰਾ ਆ. It's 2 hours long, it's in 2 parts. Please go onto YouTube and listen to this interview. I listened to her and I looked at myself and I says, "Mainu ki pata sikhi kiya? Mainu ki pata sikhi kiya? What do I know of Sikhi? I am Mata." ਬਹੁਤ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਮਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਤ ਲਾ ਲਿਆ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਬੀਬੀ ਸੰਤ ਆ.